Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
The Lifestyle Show.
Selina MacKenzie.
Cold Talk Hot Cases with Selina MacKenzie.
This is indeed our monthly Cold Talk Hot Cases. And today's story is about a crime scene. It's about a lie so convincing that it crossed borders, families and common sense. In 1997, a missing American boy was found, or so everyone thought. This is the story of Frederick Bourdain, the man who became someone else and the people who wanted to believe him. Now, if you want to join in with our conversation, or if you have any views on the case, then feel free to call us on 952 78 4000. You can WhatsApp 645 99 67 95, or you can email studio@tre.radio.
Cold Talk Hot Cases with Selina MacKenzie.
And I am joined by two of my lovely ladies, Franny Cat, welcome back.
Hello.
It's a bit of a rhyme, Franny Cat, welcome back. And Marina Bruce.
Hi,
I can't rhyme anything with that. Marina Bruce, you're
What's
not loose.
your Bruce?
Sadly, we have no Leah Matt with us today.
Leah with the facts.
Yeah, our fact checker, yeah. We are going to miss you, Leah, but we understand why and hope everything's okay. So, Franny, can you tell us a bit more about this case?
Oh, I can. Where do you start? In June 1994, actually, is where I start. Thank you, Marina. So June 1994, 13-year-old Nicholas Barclay had an argument with his mother, which was actually pretty common to them. And she asked him to go out and play basketball, basically get out of the house, go away with his friends and just go out and play basketball. A few hours later, he called home to ask his mum to come and pick him up, but his older half-brother, Jason, answered the phone and said that their mother was sleeping and he told him to walk home. Hours passed, but there was no sign of Nicholas. He was assumed a runaway, which he had done before, because he wasn't really known as a sweet kid. But this time, something was different. 3 days had passed and he still hadn't come home. So his mum filed a missing persons report after 3 days. It's pretty crazy. When it became public, it wasn't a shock for people who knew them. Police had visited their house many times before for arguments between the mum and him, or the brother and him, or even the mum and her boyfriend. It wasn't really taken seriously. A few months later, they thought maybe foul play had occurred, but again, nothing really came of it. But then, out of nowhere, in autumn 1997, so 3 and a bit years later, they received a phone call from the US Embassy in Spain. They had found Nicholas Barclay in a children's home, and he was desperate to get home. Wow. That's all I've got, guys.
Wow.
It's just the beginning, isn't it? We found him. We can go.
That's it. That's the end of today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. But it's not. So come on, Marina, tell us what happened next.
So I think this is where it starts to get really crazy. I think he was 23-year-old man posing as a 13-year-old boy.
And I don't get that.
Oh, you're right, Franny. He would have been
16.
He would have been 16,
later.
yeah.
But I don't get that, because I watched the documentary and he looked like his age. He didn't look like a child.
No, not at all.
Bizarre.
He had a whole shaved beard. Yeah. Also, his eyes were a different colour.
His eyes were a different colour, yeah.
His hair was completely dark and he was originally blonde when he went missing, or like light brown.
But I think in the beginning, basically it was a Frenchman, Frederick Bourdain, who was posing as this 16-year-old, as he's a 23-year-old. But he did, he studied the missing flyers about Nicholas. He dyed his hair. He eventually, I think, put coloured contact lenses. And as he went to, there's a lot more before this, I suppose, but as he went to meet the family, he was wearing sunglasses, a hat, a sort of scarf. So he was really covering a lot of his face.
He was.
But he was French. He had a French accent.
Yeah.
But yet they all said, great.
Yeah, that's him.
That's him. That's our boy. Our Nicholas is back. The best part for me is, so he was in Spain, right? So he's found
in a youth shelter, in Linares.
And he called around. So basically, he was like, they said, listen, you've done this before. If you can prove that you're a teenager, because he was now not a teenager, obviously, so he would go to prison because he was found out to be lying about this current identity that he was currently having in Spain.
And I think they said they were going to take fingerprints and pictures, and of course that would then lead to
DNA, couldn't
that
they?
would lead to prison.
But they didn't. Instead, they said, right, listen, you've got 24 hours to prove that you're an American teenager. And he was like, okay, cool, can I use your phone? And they said yes. And so genius, Frédéric Baudin, called up...
Well, it's genius.
It is. Called up loads of the US State Departments in America, like missing persons, and said hi in a French accent, and maybe a Spanish accent at the time, not sure.
Well, I think he was actually posing as maybe where he was from, the youth shelter director. Yeah, he wasn't.
He was posing as not. Okay. He was definitely not himself. Okay. No. He was posing as the person who'd found a boy called Nicholas Barclay. Well, he wasn't. He said, "I've got a child here." He says he's American. He says he was kidnapped from America this amount of years ago. They were all like, "No, doesn't sound like anyone here." Finally, he gets to the Texas State Department. They were like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like Nicholas Barclay." And he goes, amazing. Frederick's like, amazing, fantastic. Can you fax over a photo of him? They faxed over a photo of him and he goes, yeah, think that's our boy. And he thinks in his head, Frederick, seems like a long shot, but I reckon I can do it.
Yeah, I think he never really thought that the family of Nicholas Barclay would believe him.
No,
I don't think he really thought that.
No,
but
he was just buying himself time, really.
Yeah, we'll come on to that later, but I don't think they did, because I think they were pretending.
Interesting.
Anyway, so let's stay on this point.
So then the Texas State Department then call up his family and they're like, guys, guess what? Great news. Nicholas has been found. He's in Spain. And they're like, wow. Interestingly enough, and we'll earmark this for later, only his sister Carrie flies out to meet him, which is a bit weird, considering he's been gone only 3 years. It's actually not that long if you think about it. But his sister Carrie flies out, and she's allowed to see him straight away. And they're like, oh my God, amazing.
Yeah, I think she almost jumped into his arms and said, this is him. I mean, there was never a moment that she doubted it.
Which is crazy. And that night, before they went back to America, she showed him the whole photo album, family album, went through everyone, was like, remember him? It's Uncle Jim. That's Timmy, blah, blah, blah. The day after, just before he was allowed to leave, he had to have a quick chat with the US Embassy just to confirm it was him. And rather than, take his DNA and do fingerprints, they just asked him a couple of questions about his family.
Which he now knew.
Now, luckily for him, he'd spent the whole night learning about it.
And, of course, the sister was backing up the story, saying, yes, this is him.
Yeah. So he got 4 out of 5 questions right and got his American passport. And off he went as Nicholas Barclay.
Why didn't they take a DNA test? I couldn't understand
Doesn't make sense. No, I don't think even they know. Because there's not really any,
But I think 1997, was it really back then?
Well, fingerprints. Even that would have done it.
Anything to prove, yeah.
Fingerprints would have literally done it. Because they had him already in the system. So
that's true, yeah.
I suppose if they think, well, the family are happy that it's him, who are we to question? I don't know.
But, this is the US. This is we don't let anyone in.
Yes, but this is you're thinking of the US now. I don't know, back then, was it maybe slightly... He was an American citizen Nicholas Barclay was an American citizen.
Yeah, so Nicholas was the boy.
So there was no reason... Well, I mean... Oops.
Yeah. Now anyone could just be like, it's me. I'm American, so come and get me.
I still can't get how he also explained away his eyes when his eyes were brown and the child's eyes were blue. I mean, how did he explain that?
Well, I think the story that he then told was that he'd been kidnapped in Texas and transported through several European countries and had been abused and forced to change his appearance.
Abused by high-ranking military officials, nonetheless.
He could tell a story, couldn't he, this lad?
But he was actually famous for that as a child.
Right.
Like, he lied about who his father was. They all thought his father was an English spy.
Oh.
And that just obviously wasn't true either. but he had everyone believed him. He's a professional.
He's
Liar.
a professional
Liar.
con artist.
And he's brilliant at it.
Yeah, clearly.
Obviously. Yeah,
Clearly.
sorry.
And so, that was how he explained the differences in his accent and physical appearance, because it was also the way he talked. Suddenly he must have had a French/Spanish
Yeah, I suppose you could
accent.
say, well, I've been living in this... Well, I don't know. I still don't think you changed your accent. We haven't, have we?
No, it's true. He said that his captor said he was finding it offensive that he wasn't speaking like him, so he had to change his accent. That's what he said. Again, good story. He said he had solution injected into his eyes.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And the interesting one, I think... He also said that they'd broken his left foot because he already had a break on his left foot. He was forced to eat insects.
Ew.
And I think the fact that his story was so awful...
And a child, that this happened to a child.
Yeah. I mean, it's 80% believable as well, according to the American FBI, because they're like, well, this does sound like sex trafficking. This does sound like what happens, because they know what happens.
I think the American FBI thought it was 100% believable, otherwise they wouldn't have let it out.
That's true.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I guess, who knows, but he's been through many different homes in France and Spain by this point. Potentially, he's met some people who were trafficked. They've told him
this
loads
guy
of stories.
he was like a homeless person at the time.
Well, he just left his home. He was a troubled teenager. He was at school. His mum was super young. His dad wasn't around. He claimed at one point his grandparents abused him, but no one knows if it's true.
The mother was abusive. I think he also said he was raped by a neighbour as a child.
Yeah, and his grandparents.
But, I mean, these are all things that he's claiming that he really had a horrendous childhood.
But we don't know if that's true.
Yeah, there's certain aspects we don't know if it's true or
But
not.
what we do know is everyone who went to school with him loved him. Thought he was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Because he was such a great charmer and was able to tell such amazing lies. But there was a time suddenly where he was plonked in a school for troubled teens. So something went a bit awry at a certain point.
Yeah.
And vis-a-vis, he did this like 12 times or something, took on a
Different
always
identities.
a fake identity.
And that's all across Europe. So he was well practiced by the time it got to Nicholas Barclay.
Yeah.
Well,
but he'd never done a real person before.
Right, I've got something up here. I just pulled it up and it says Frederick Bourdain impersonated more than 500 reported children. More than 500!
Do you have the time?
Blimey.
Impressive.
Very
Especially
impressive.
looking like he did, because he was in his 20s, early 20s, when this happened. And just then they're questioning, well, are you actually a kid? Come on, you've got 24 hours to prove it. We don't believe you.
And he did.
Before that, he'd already done 500. I'm definitely sure that a lot of those were when he was over 18.
Yeah.
Or even over 17. You have to be just over 17.
I mean, this is someone who's, this is not just your average Joe Bloggs. He's someone who's extremely perceptive.
Yeah.
And he can read the way, people are feeling, and he taps into that.
And I think, like you said, Marina, he probably didn't think that it would get as far as it did. He probably thought, I'll just wing this for as long as I can, but eventually I'll be caught.
He even said it himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was like, there's no way. And that actually, so his first interview, once he's back because they let him settle in, went back to his mates, they all accepted him.
Yeah,
I'm not
that I find...
Is it because your mates would be like, this guy's so old. And also, how is he getting round all like, oh my gosh, do you remember when we went down to the local
he's
blah,
not
blah,
going to
blah?
remember any of those
No.
stories.
But he could say, and this is the thing that masked everything, was just, I was abused and it's been so awful, I don't remember much. Of course.
Which is sad if that's true.
Exactly.
That's sad.
But sorry, it wasn't true. As in,
Definitely.
he's talking about his actual story about being Nicholas Barclay.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
I've got you.
Yeah.
I've got you. Let's take our first advert break, and then we'll come back and we'll restart where Sister Carrie came along and took him back to the USA. We'll be back on the other side.
The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
It's 19 minutes past 3, and this is our true crime programme, Cold Talk Hot Cases. And today we're talking about the story of Frederick Bourdain, the man who became someone else. Many times, apparently, many times. So here we are. Sister Carrie's gone over and supposedly rescued him. Why do you think Franny, his mum, didn't go as well? I mean, if then 13, now 16-year-old son has been found, do you think she'd be chomping at the bit?
Listen, I've got my theories. Okay? There are many a thing that crops up for me where I'm suspicious of the family itself. One, that you didn't bop an eyelid that this guy looks over 20 and has a French accent, has different eyes, and clearly has a dark beard. And you were like, yeah, that's definitely him. Obviously, you could say, they just missed him so much. They were like, yeah, that's him.
You believe what you want to believe.
Or were you like, this is great, actually. This really, stops anyone
Solves
questioning where Nicholas is. If they knew really what happened to Nicholas, which is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I'm with you all the way on that one.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird that it was just Carrie who popped over. But anyway, he's back now, and he's got his first interview with the FBI, who'd let him, like I said, hang out with his mates a bit, settle in. He even apparently had a crush on someone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's still a 20-year-old.
Well, how old?
Boy.
23.
She probably was 16, which is a bit weird, isn't it?
It's a bit weird and a bit scary.
Yeah, but he's got to pretend he's a child, I guess. So he told her everything of his alleged story, which is, kidnapped, raped, abused, dyed his eyes. But the interesting thing is how he escaped. So he said he only managed to escape the night that he did because his captors forgot to close the door securely, and then he got out and ran, which is totally fine, makes sense. But then we're like, so where's everyone else? Because he said he was with loads of other children. Are you telling me that if the door was left open and one kid ran, only one kid ran?
So he wasn't saying he was kidnapped on his own. He was with other children.
Yeah, it was always with a large group of them. They were all raped and abused every night. They changed their identities.
Well, he could have been in a supposedly different room. I mean, I don't...
It's true. It's true.
Sticking up for him, Marina.
Devil's advocate. Well, not really, but yeah. Got to see both sides, I suppose.
Yeah. But, so the FBI chick, Nancy Fisher, I like that. I just had to say it. She was definitely shaken by the interview, but she was also horrified because, like I said, it rang true for sex trafficking. So she was like, we're going to find these people, but listen, everyone, don't speak to the press. That was like a thing. Anyway, news got out, obviously. I don't know how they managed to not get it out. But interestingly, and this is where it kind of all spirals out of control, I wonder if this piece hadn't happened, would it have all come out in the end? The TV press, like a specific news channel specifically, hired this guy called Charlie Parker, who's a private investigator, to get in touch with the family. So he did. They got in touch with the family, and they were super eager to share the story. And so they went to their house literally a few days later, they were all there. He's very covered up for the interview. He's on TV, and he's got a very heavy French accent, as we knew. While the interview is taking place, Charlie Parker is there, leaning against a wall in their house of a photograph of Nicholas Barclay. And he said... there was just this wild moment where his hairs stood up on the back of his neck, and he was like, that is not him.
Yeah.
And so he said to the mum, can you send me some more photographs of when he was younger, please, acting all innocent? Just for the story, I want them to go on the TV show. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And he compared the ears, which, as we all know from the Jeffrey Epstein conspiracies going on at the moment, that is actual evidence because your ears cannot change whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a reliable biometric feature.
Absolutely.
Of identification. Yeah.
And he said the boy's ears and the guy who was pretending to be this boy were completely different.
Wow.
So he's like, there we go.
I think he also didn't buy the blue eyes, brown eyes.
Well, of course.
And all the rest of it,
Apart
the
from
age.
the glaring differences.
Yeah. The European
It sounds like this
accent.
guy's got sense.
It's true. But this guy's now like, I now have evidence.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
This isn't just like,
This is what I think.
fine, you got
Yeah.
dyed in your eye, you dyed your eyes, blah, blah, blah. This is like evidence, you are not him. So he's like, right,
Yeah.
call the FBI. Hi, Nancy.
Did he call the FBI?
Yeah, he called the FBI, goes, I think there's something you want to see here. And she went, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you.
Oh, I thought that she suspected that this early on.
At this point, no.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder why that was.
She later said, I couldn't question what the family thought to be 100% right.
True.
That's what she later said. But at the time, she was like, can you just not intrude on my investigation, please? I'm not interested.
Everything, all the cards are falling into place for Frederick Bourdain,
Literally,
aren't
this is
they?
what I'm thinking. The luck this guy had.
Well, because I think he lived with the family for about 5 months. I mean, that's quite a long time
Before
to
he was
fake,
found out.
Yeah, to fake it.
Not just having like a 23-year-old French dude living in your house and you're all just like, yeah, Nicholas, darling, breakfast is ready. No. Absolutely wild. And he must have had, like, think of the street, not street cred, that's the wrong word. How streetwise this guy must have been, because he's been living basically on his own for years, pretending to be thousands of different people.
Well, exactly. He's had the practice.
But like, you would think that your 16-year-old kid was naughty, probably had a bit of street.
Oh, was too wise,
He
too
was,
street smart.
Yeah.
Like, he must have known so much more stuff than the actual Nicholas
Yeah, and he had
Barclay
to dumb
would have
himself
known.
down. Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine him going out playing on his skateboard with his mates, pretending to be a 16-year-old, thinking, I'm 23, I should be at the pub.
Yeah. Just have a drink, please. Especially coming from Europe, he's been drinking for years.
So how was he found out then in the end?
Well, so it carries on. Actually, it's not just quick. You know, he went to see a forensic psychologist in Nicholas, and that person said something was wrong. His behaviour didn't make sense. He really spoke casually about the abuse, and yet he was incapable of speaking fluent English. And the guy said, "You can't be raised, even for the first 6-7 years, in an English speaker." At home in an English-speaking country and not be able to speak English without an accent. And obviously he'd spent 13 years in an English-speaking country.
Yeah.
And he couldn't speak fluent English now, and he couldn't say it without an accent. Because think, you learn the words that you learn. So as you go, you learn new words, you learn them in your accent. Obviously, he had his thing, he had his excuse for that, but the forensic psychologist said, no way. Now, Nancy agreed, the FBI agent. She's like, okay, fine. The forensic psychologist has now told me it's impossible.
Yeah.
Let's
so
look into
she
this
pushed
further.
for fingerprints and DNA.
Not
didn't
there,
she?
not yet.
Oh, no.
No,
there's...
not there yet.
Don't jump ahead, Marina.
Sorry, no. She called Carrie, the sister, and Carrie was like, no, sorry, it's my brother, bye. Mm-hmm. She, again, now doesn't remember the call being so alarming. So she doesn't remember someone calling her up being like, that's not Nicholas, that's not your brother. She doesn't remember that. Then she goes to the family. She goes to Beverly, the mum. She's like, can I get a DNA sample? And she said no, which is interesting, isn't it? Because if you were the family...
You're on to Beverly, aren't you?
Even if you really hope it's him, but the now FBI are like, listen, it's not him, you'd be like, okay, take a sample. If you weren't trying to hide something.
Exactly.
Question mark. So, the family were running to help, and then Nancy just became very suspicious of the family as well, wouldn't you? And Beverly, the mum, went from being super willing to very hostile. And she thought, what is she protecting so badly that she wouldn't want us to find out? That's now Nancy thinking that, which is good, because we were thinking that for a while, weren't we?
Yes, the FBI
exactly.
agent,
Yeah. So then Charlie Parker was tailing, who's the PI. He's still on the case, even though he was hired ages ago by the TV press. He's like, no, guys, I'm onto something here. Keep paying me. So, which is funny, because half the time you'd be like, no, you're just out for money. Like, you know, we don't really have personal and private investigators in Europe, do we really? They're not a hugely
you don't know
thing.
about them, that's why.
I was going to say.
They're doing a good
Very good.
I'd have one following me right now.
Well, you could.
But in America, it's very popular. You know, for like marriages, whatnot.
Infidelity.
Infidelity, exactly. So he's like, I'm tailing him. Finally, he gets to sit down with Nicholas. He's like, all right, let's meet at a restaurant. And
Nicholas agreed to this.
yeah, he said, yeah, fine. Okay, let's do it. So he said, Charlie was just kind of, you know, throwing some questions out, some curveball questions out to see if he truly knew the story of what the mother had said of the night of that he went missing, right? So he said, you really made your mother mad that night. Because obviously they had a huge argument, allegedly. And the man sitting across from him put down his fork and said, "She's not my mother, and you know it."
Oh, did he say it just like that?
Yeah, just
Franny. Great imitation.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Hang on, let me give you one of these. Super well done. Oh my God, why did he admit it?
Sorry, hang on, I didn't know that was available. Can I get one of those every month?
You can.
Yeah, he just said it. He was like,
I think he
"Listen."
knew the
game was up.
Yeah, the jig was up.
Yeah,
There was no...
makes sense. And just after this meeting, his prints were taken by the FBI, and the database got a hit.
Oh
It was
my goodness.
25-year-old. I thought it was 21. 25
I thought it was 23.
Frenchman named Frédéric Baudin.
So then what happened to him? How did they tell the family? What goes on from there?
Well, he was charged. So Frédéric Baudin was charged with passport fraud and perjury. He pleaded guilty. This was in a U.S. federal court, and he was sentenced to about 6 years in prison. And after that, he returned to France.
And the family, of course, were devastated.
They were, and that's what they said.
Now, my theory is, it's probably the same as yours. My theory is that they murdered Nicholas Bartley. I know it sounds awful and macabre.
I think it's the more popular theory,
Yes.
actually. Yeah.
They killed him, maybe by accident, but they killed him. They hid his body and made out that he'd run away. And then, of course, when this guy comes back from the dead, this Frédéric Baudin, they think this is the perfect alibi for us. We'll say it is him, we'll let him live with us, we'll do everything so we don't go to prison.
Yeah.
Because there was also, I don't know if you mentioned it, Franny, that Jason, the half-brother, initially, when Nicholas went missing, he said, that he had seen Nicholas trying to break into the garage later that night. Which was...
No, and a few weeks later.
Oh, and a few weeks later.
Yeah.
And the police didn't really buy that. So could it have been Jason, because they argued a lot? Maybe the mother helped, or maybe the mother didn't know anything about it.
No.
But I think she must have done, because like we said, why didn't she fly over there to be with him? I mean, you would know.
Why
you
did
would
she
know
say no
your son.
to the DNA sample?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you would know your son. You would know if it was your son or not. I'm sure. I'd certainly know my son, even after 10 years.
Do you believe what you want to believe? I mean,
That's true.
I don't know.
And I guess we won't ever know that unless this actually happened to us. But Frédéric did say something interesting, because obviously he's now been living with this family for 5 months who have just been like, it's you.
He said he really liked the family.
He said they were really lovely, but he suspected them.
I think
He
he did,
suspected them.
He suspected
twist
them.
in the story.
Yeah, and one evening, so they all had like a welcome back type parties kind of thing, and they were all over there, and Jason popped in late, didn't really speak to him at all this whole time, because he wasn't living with the family at this point. Came into the house, was like, hi, whatever, didn't say anything to him at all, which you would obviously if your long lost brother, half brother, was found. And then just as he was leaving, he said, good luck.
Did he?
And then why on earth would you say good
That's
luck?
a strange thing to say.
But now again, devil's advocate.
Oh, what's that, Franny?
I think, me personally, if my brother went missing and he came back older with a beard and different eye colour, I wouldn't welcome him back in with open arms. I'd be extremely suspicious. Especially, I'd probably be testing him all the time, being like,
yeah.
Hey, do you remember that time we, threw toilet roll at the neighbour's house?
Yeah, and he
Even
says,
if I
yeah, I
hadn't
do.
done it.
And he says, well, we didn't do it.
Yeah, I'd be doing all of that. I'd probably say good luck as well.
But it's also that the sister Carrie, when she came over and showed him the photo album and was saying, remember this, and this is your uncle such and such. She was feeding him information.
Yeah.
That's how it appears to me.
Oh, well, 100%.
I think what worked in Baudin's favour is that Nicholas went missing almost at a pivotal age, where you go from being a sort of child to almost a man.
But not a 23-year-old.
Not a 23-year-old. Okay.
Guys.
So maybe you could, if he had gone missing when he was 20 and reappeared when he was 23, then so maybe that could have... I don't know.
It's an
Help me
interesting
out here,
one.
guys.
Yeah, I will do. I'm going to give the phone number, WhatsApp and email. We've had a couple of WhatsApps in, but I'm going to give the details. Great. We'll take another advert break, and we will be back after this.
The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
This is our true crime show, Cold Talk Hot Cases, with me, Selina MacKenzie, and Marina and Franny. So we're talking about Frederick Bourdin, and we've had a couple of WhatsApps in. Sarah in Mallorca says, she's put this in big block capital letters, "I'm screaming at the radio. How did nobody notice the accent?" I mean, that is weird. And to say that one of his captors said, "You're offending me, I want you to talk him." I don't know, but surely when you are, I don't know how to explain this, when you're a foreign person, do you actually know what your accent sounds like? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So if I speak Spanish, do I know how my accent sounds?
I would think I do.
I would say yes, I would do.
So that could be plausible.
It could, especially if he's such a genius.
But I think it's just, he was just so brazen about it.
Yeah.
I think that's, people just, they take it for face value.
Yeah. Someone once told me, say it with confidence and you will be believed.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Okay,
Very
was it
true.
not just someone who told me? Is it just a common phrase?
It was Selina who told you.
Yeah, maybe, as soon as I've heard it before.
Thanks, Selina. It's really gone with me.
I'm glad that what I say resonates. Sarah in Mallorca, yes, I'm with you. I won't scream at the radio because it'll frighten everyone to death, but I'm totally with you. It's stupid. Mark in Almeria, this is terrifying because it feels like it could still happen today. I don't think I'd question someone I wanted to believe, though, so that is what I think about the family. Okay, it might be, it could well be that they just desperately wanted to believe it was him, but I still don't think you would. You know your son.
No, I'm glad he said that, because you're right. There has been many a case, not in terms of missing people, but where people have believed what they wanted to be true. So maybe it does transpire, but we wouldn't know. I guess,
unless it happened to us. Yeah.
But interesting that. I don't think it could happen today, because you'd hope that they've learnt their lesson not to just at least take some fingerprints.
Or DNA, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it could happen in the same country.
Well,
sorry,
you
what do you
could
mean?
pretend to be someone else
In that same country?
in that same, like, we're not, because the US is like
But
a
I think it
battlefield.
has. I'm sure there's been cases. No, has it not happened?
Well, people
What am I
trying.
thinking
Yeah,
of?
Madeleine McCann. There was like quite a few people who pretended to be
few
her.
people have come back, haven't they?
But they obviously it doesn't come through. So I guess something happens, or they get disproven.
Our third one is from Jenna. I'm not sure where you're from, Jenna. And she says the scariest part isn't him, it's how convincing the lie became once everyone else helped him carry it. I like that one. That's a good point, Jenna.
Yeah.
Everyone else was, like we say, everything was in his favour. Yeah, indeed. How are we doing for timing? Right, we need to take our third advert break, and we will be back on the other side because we've still got a few more questions.
Lifestyle Show.
Selina MacKenzie.
This is the Lifestyle Show. We have our true crime programme. We've just had a couple more WhatsApps in. Aisha in Calahonda says, great show, ladies, but I feel torn. Obviously what he did was wrong, but his childhood sounds awful. Is he a villain or a product of trauma?
Well,
I think...
good question.
Well, he suffered, or according to him, he suffered a lot of... There was obviously some kind of trauma. And so the question is, was he trying to recreate that perfect childhood he didn't have with all these teenage impersonations?
Well,
and was he just looking to be loved? Because he never got money from any of this. So that wasn't the motivation.
Exactly. He said he started creating fantasies about who his family was, even as a child, because he was teased and abused for being Algerian mixed race.
Yes,
where he was growing up.
He said
in
the
France.
aunt was, and the father had wanted his mother to have an abortion because he was half Arabic. I think the aunt was brutal about that.
Yeah, so he was already like, I just really want to be someone else. So his lies started in his head, I guess. But then he noticed that people were like pulled in by him, and yeah, it all went totally downhill when he ended up in a home, and he made up an identity because he didn't like the home, so he ran away, made up a new identity, failed, got sent back to a home, and that's when he realised he was pretty convincing but not good enough. Anyway, he carried on doing this for a while, as we know, got through 500 people allegedly, and then he got fined out, but he was never on Interpol because he was a child.
A teenager.
Still, they were thinking,
Okay,
you know. Even at 18, he had no education at 18. So I guess, yes, he's streetwise, but he's got no education. So his intellect is obviously lower than an 18-year-old. And then he knew how to elicit sympathy and use adult guilt by that point. So once, basically, he nailed this Nicholas Barclay, did all his phone calls, he got the facts through, he was like, great. He actually got tattoos to match Nicholas.
Oh, that's right, because Nicholas had some tattoos.
That's right. I remember that now, from the documentary.
And he said, listen, I know what buttons I'm going to push, but let's see what happens. So that's allegedly how he got through with it. What's interesting from him now, or rather what he said then, was he started questioning after a few months of being back why the family weren't questioning it, because he thought it was so obvious. So that's why he finally said yes to meeting up with Charlie Parker, because he was like, I'm actually freaked out by living with these people.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
he
think
was.
they did it.
So he thought what we thought.
Yeah, he said, even now,
And this
I'm
is someone who lived with them,
100% convinced that the family killed their son.
So did the police, not just because he said, but from the documentary, did the police look into it, the FBI look into them?
They did look into them.
Well, I think the problem was there was no body. Nobody was ever discovered. There was no crime scene. There was no reliable witnesses. I mean, from what I understand, the basketball court that he was walking home from was just a few blocks away from home in a residential neighborhood, and yet no one saw anything. So the kidnapping or whatever had happened supposedly took place in a really short space of time.
Yeah. Well, according to him, according to fake Nicholas, he was taken from the basketball court.
Right.
But obviously his mates were like, we left. So, again, the question mark. But before Nicholas went missing, he was supposed to go to juvie that summer. And he was frequently abused by his older brother Jason, older half-brother
The
Jason.
real Nicholas
The
Barclay.
real Nicholas.
Okay.
So, but to police, it kind of made sense that he would have run away. He didn't want to go to juvie.
Because he had run away, I think, multiple times before.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning the police didn't, they just thought, oh, he's run away again.
Yeah. But people did start to wonder, and they did think the family had something to do with it, especially when finally got the DNA through that Frederick wasn't Nicholas. The family were like, okay, fine, it's not him. And we're not going to, blow up a big story about it.
Again, weird.
Very weird. If you'd had this kid that you were convinced was your son...
So bizarre.
You'd be
then
heartbroken.
You would, exactly, but they weren't. They were like, well, it's not him then. Let's just move on from that. The family have now said that Beverly did start to doubt the mum because he didn't hug like he used to, which she noticed.
So she overcame the French accent, the different colour eyes, the fact that he's got a beard, but he didn't
nearly
hug the
10 years
same.
older.
But she wanted to believe him, so she let that one slide.
I
as
still
well.
don't get that. I still don't believe that.
Well, come on. Could it be that Jason knew?
And actually, I don't know if you mentioned it, because he died... before the investigation progressed much further after that, he passed away. I don't know if it was a drug overdose.
Who did?
Jason.
Jason, the brother.
That's true.
Okay.
So we can't.
And so they were never able to,
interview
But they
him.
couldn't
interview this
interview
other-
Carrie and Beverly.
No. Well, I'm sure they did, but they were like, they didn't have a
No
right
proof.
to. They didn't have. They can ask
there
them
was
all the
nothing-
questions, but
nothing to go on.
then they became incooperative, and you can't demand that they speak to the police because there's nothing to say that they knew anything about it.
And do we know anything, what's happening with them now? They're just living a normal life? Nicholas is not back. So.
It's still officially listed as a missing person.
Oh, that's the sad thing.
The investigation is still technically open, but
It's awful.
I think unless one of the family members talks, which I think is unlikely, because probably it's likely that Jason was involved, possibly the mother. So Jason's no longer here.
Yeah, and she might take it to the grave.
Yeah, she most likely would. So,
But I don't think. My guess is that Carrie doesn't know anything.
I don't think so.
But why did she fly over there and try and feed in the information with the photo?
Well, no,
and
she was just so excited.
brother.
I don't think she thought.
No, I don't think it was in that way of, remember, this was your uncle so-and-so. Remember?
I'm a skeptic. I think
really?
I do. I think that's why she did it. And that's why she accepted it.
Oh, wow. I didn't think that at all.
No,
I thought she's completely unawares and just got out the family album, was like, do you remember blah, blah, blah. And, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're back. Like, look at all these family memories.
Giving him all the
Maybe
information.
even this is what's happened while you've been gone as well. Maybe that's why she took the family photo album.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Nicholas Bartley is out there somewhere and he's fine and well, and that
He just ran away.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have to remember that this is people's lives. Do we know what's happening to Frederick now?
Yes, he is married in France with 5 children.
Allegedly.
Yes, and this is it. Do we know that for sure?
Do we know that
Did
it's
he
him?
say that? Are they his children? Is that his wife?
Franny is not believing any of it.
But
is it another con?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it could be.
He's
to
a
get welfare.
professional. Do you just stop being a con artist?
Yeah, it makes you wonder because it could become addictive.
Yeah,
Couldn't it?
he did do a huge documentary though. It was a very cool documentary called Imposter.
The
was it?
Imposter, yeah. Just for our listeners, it's called The Imposter. It came out in 2012, but I'm sure you can find it. And it is because they interviewed him, they interviewed the family, they interviewed the FBI. You saw it from all sides, and then people can make their own conclusion.
Yeah.
We have just a couple more. Thank you, Aisha and Calahonda, by the way. Just 2 more, and then we can't take any more, I'm afraid, due to time constraints. Paul said, the question is, how did the authorities sign off on this? Surely fingerprints should have been checked straight away. Yeah,
Well, yes,
absolutely.
Paul.
Yeah, that's what we think.
The only thing I can think of is it was 1997. I mean, I don't think that would fly now. I really don't.
Yeah, what? And you'll
not.
just think they were just a bit lax? Or do you think...
Because it was also prior 9/11. I mean, then everything became a lot
That's
more...
true.
Yeah,
it was pre-COVID,
be, yeah.
different world.
Yeah, we're all different after COVID.
I just don't see it happening now.
No, you're
even
right.
if the
let's
even if the
hope
family
not.
says yes, this is him.
You're right.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
why wouldn't they believe I don't know.
Oh, it's a difficult one. And finally, Lucy says, this case proves confidence gets you very far in life.
Exactly.
Sometimes way too far. I like that. Thank you very much, Lucy. Thank you. Well, I have just realised in all our quickness that in the first hour I didn't do the business news. So I'm going to do it now. We'll go over to Sky IRN in London for the business stories.
Hello, I'm Cam Hall with the latest business stories from Sky News. Donald Trump's suggestion the Iran war may be over soon has led to oil prices easing and stock markets clawing back some of their losses. The US president claims his objectives pretty well complete, while also threatening death, fire and fury if Tehran targets energy supplies. House builder Persimmon is warning the conflict in the Middle East could cause the buying market to slow down. It's feared rising rates of inflation because of soaring oil and gas prices could keep interest rates higher for longer. That means mortgage lenders could take longer to reduce the rates they charge. 5 water firms in England have been told they can't increase customer bills by as much as they'd planned to. The UK's competition watchdog's limiting hikes to 2.2% for Anglian, Northumbrian, South East, Southern and Wessex Water. They'd wanted to raise £2.7 billion. And US airline JetBlue's resumed flights after briefly grounding all its planes. The carrier's blamed a system outage but hasn't given any details.
Oh, that was the business stories. Well, that is almost it from today's true crime programme. Frederick Bourdin didn't just steal an identity, he stepped into a family's grief and made it his disguise. And long after the truth came out, one question still lingers. How did so many people see the signs and choose to look away? That's not the only question. The question is, did the family do it?
I know, and I don't think we'll ever know, and that's really
I don't
sad.
think so. It's very
Justice
sad.
for Nicholas.
Yes,
And
exactly.
I think that's his story often gets sort of diluted with Frederick Bourdin's story.
It's true.
And there is a real victim here, a 13-year-old boy.
Though, like, how do you actually... Okay, they reported him missing 3 days later.
That's also strange.
Granted, they didn't do much because they thought he was a runaway. But, like, where's the body?
But
It's only
also,
3 days.
if your 13-year-old ran away, I would be panicking.
100%.
Not wait 3
but I
days.
think that the mother had substance abuse issues, and so it was a different life he led, and I think it was quite a hard life.
He was already going to juvie. Like, he was naughty. The mum was naughty.
She was working night shifts, so she was probably slept a lot of the day and then would work
It's
at night.
very sad, isn't it? It's very sad. Well,
and I think I think maybe a bit of the police were like probably a bit classist.
Yeah.
And they like probably has run away.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that he is somewhere alive and well. But for today's show, it is time for this.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye.
Lovely to hear you sing. Give us a round of applause for yourselves, ladies. Woo! Thank you very much. Unless we're fired, we will be back for another show, so let's hope I'm not fired then.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.